Okay then guys, I'm back with another round of potato recipes. Oh no! Yeah, so moving on a bit, another, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 more to do. I love them. We're going to start off with grated and fried potatoes 2 ways. And the first of those is the one we associate with American breakfasts, hash browns. Now hash browns weren't always called hash browns, they used to be called, back at the end of the 1800s, hashed brown potatoes, because they were cooked potatoes allowed to cool and then grated or chopped and fried. And the brown bit was from the frying. That got moved on a bit to shredding or julienning cold potatoes and making hash browns. There you are. So what we're going to do, first of all, I'm doing 2 potatoes, 1 for each dish. I'm not going to make a big load. Grate them, however you want to grate them. I'm leaving the skins on these, they're very clean potatoes. Watch your fingers with these graters, guys. The number of times I've taken my fingernails off. Back in a minute. Okay then, I'm just going to put these into a bowl for now. Next up, we want to dry them. Now you can rinse them if you want. I don't like rinsing them. It takes too much of the starch away. So spread them out over a kitchen tissue or a clean tea towel. That's what burns, but it is clean. Spread them out well and basically just roll them up to dry them out. They won't be perfectly dry, but it just takes some of the moisture away. There we are. Give that a second. Back in the bowl with them. This is where they go everywhere. Here we are. Right, I like to use a mix of butter and oil. The oil stops the butter burning, the butter gives them a nicer flavour, so just a good wipe at the bottom. And just a drop of oil, not much. That'll do. Oh, that's greasy, that. There we are. Right, I'm going to use half of these, because like I said, I want to use half for the next dish. And what I'm going to do, just gently, lightly, drop them in. I'm going to move them around a little bit, just to the thickness I want. Push them in from the sides, just so we got the nice shape. Only very, very gently pat them down. And I'm going to lightly season with salt and pepper. This is all I add to my hash browns. Some people put onions, some people put cheese, but that hash brown casserole type thing really. But I'll tell you what, it's got big holes in this. That's far too much. There we are. Right, we're going to leave that now. Let that cook. At least 8 minutes on a low to medium heat. And this is the last time we touch it until that side is cooked. Well, here we are then, been cooking for a minute. We're not going to touch that now for at least another 6, 7 or 8 minutes. Just want to check that the underside is cooked and then we'll move on. Okay then, that has been 7 minutes and it looks like it's all together. And yes, it's a little bit brown, if not a little bit too brown. So a drop more butter. And we're going to flip it over. Let's get the butter all around. Oh no, it's just right, just right. A drop more oil as well. Just a drop. There we are. And however long you cook the first side for, 7 minutes, cook the second side for the same length of time. Back in 7 minutes. Okay then, that sun's got up. Right, that's about 7 minutes. Oh yes, that'll do, that'll do. Let's just transfer that to a plate. Can't wait, can't wait. Okay then, an armadillo hash brown. Crunchy on the outside, soft in the middle. Right, this is what you'd call your classic breakfast type hash brown. Typically eaten with fried food in the UK. It would be like, you know, fish fingers and hash browns or something like that. So let's give it a go. Ooh, it's crunchy. Yeah, lovely. It's so simple. It's shredded potato with a little bit of salt and pepper fried. The trick is not to move it. Once you start cooking, leave it. When one side's done, turn it over and leave it. Keep messing with it, keep stirring it around, you'll end up with a gooey mess. Unless that's what you want, of course. Armadillo hash browns. Okay then, so we've had the basic hash browns, the breakfast hash browns. Let's upscale it a little bit. This is the Swiss RÖSTI. RÖSTI. Lots of different ways of pronouncing it, depending which language you're in. We're going to call it Rosti. So we got the shredded potatoes. We want a little bit of baking powder, half an egg, quarter onion, a teaspoon of plain flour. I've got a couple of sage leaves and I'm going to drop a little bit of mustard in it as well. So basically it all goes in and we stir it up. Okay then, quite finely diced onion in the bowl with that. And before they blow away, I've got a couple of little purple sage leaves. You can leave these out, just a little bit of flavour. Now the Rosti tends to be a potato accompaniment to another meal. So it's a little bit more upscaled, like I was saying. A little bit of mustard. Just gives it a bit of bite. About half a teaspoon of baking powder. What size is that? That's a quarter, so it's two of them. Nearly there, guys. And an egg, half an egg, or less. We'll see how it goes. Try and get half an egg in, a little bit. That'll do. About a teaspoon of plain flour, just to bind it all together. Give it a good mixing. Same again then, a good greasing of butter, a drop of oil. I'll change this sunflower oil, it's easier to pour. And this time we're going to make two. And we'll just shake those like we did before. And once again, we'll leave that about 6 minutes. We'll have a look at it and then turn them over. Okay, that's 5 minutes. Let's have a quick shufti. Oh, yes. Here we are. Once again, we'll put a bit more butter and oil in. Cook the second side. And back in 5 minutes. Okay, so a quick shufti. You see that? Yeah, they're done. Rosti. Hash brown's posh cousin, I'd call it. Served with a poached egg on top, or a bit of ham, sausages with mushy peas or broccoli around the outside. Whereas with hash browns, I tend to use them anyway with fried food and breakfast. So here we go then. Ooh. Different straight away. You got the onion and the mustard's in there. Yeah. Grated fried potatoes, two ways. What's next? Can slice them, can't we? Oh yeah, right. See you in a bit. Okay, then I'm indoors for the creamy au gratin potatoes, or is it potatoes au gratin? Hey, whatever. Right, you need enough potatoes that when they're sliced, they fill your dish. Some onions, I'm using 2 small red ones for this. 3 tablespoons of butter, salt and pepper to taste. About half a teaspoon of mustard powder to give it a kick. and enough plain flour, milk and cheese to make a cheese sauce. Okay, on we go. Grease your oven-proof baking dish generously with butter. You might as well use butter because there's butter later on in the recipe. And then slice your potatoes about, now I've done about 1/4 inch, 6mm thick. You can do them as thick or thin as you like. I remember when Mum used to do it, we called them scallop potatoes and they were a little bit thicker. Then again, that was 50 odd years ago. Slice the onion or onions quite finely. You don't want big chunks of onion in this dish. And set them aside, we'll be using those in a bit. Melt your butter on medium heat. Once it's all melted properly, in with the flour. Now 1 tablespoon at a time, and stir it in before you put the next tablespoon in. Now keep an eye on the temperature as well, you don't want to burn the flour. That's cooking nicely, so in with the next tablespoon. Keep stirring and do keep an eye on the heat. And the roux will gradually thicken. Now the roux is a great base for many sauces, you know. Well, this is basically to start off with a white sauce that we're going to turn into a cheese sauce. And you'll see now it is nice and thick. So time to add the milk, a little bit to start off with, get it all wetted down, get the roux dissolving. Keep adding the milk a little bit at a time, stir it in, and eventually it will start to thicken up a little bit. As soon as it starts thickening up a little bit, put a bit more milk in. And eventually you'll have used it all. I used just about half a pint, I think. Okay, in with a bit of seasoning, bit of salt, bit of pepper, and the mustard powder if you're going to use it. Get it all stirred in and the mixture will slowly start to thicken up a bit, and as soon as it does, in with the cheese. Now you want to try and put all of your cheese in one go, and it starts to melt straight away. Give it a good stir in, you can see how thick it's getting now. A little bit more, then off the heat, and the rest of the cheese will just carry on melting down in the sauce. And finally it's time to start building it. Grab your greased oven-proof dish and simply layer in the potatoes. As neat or as haphazard as you like. This can be quite therapeutic, really. Once you've got half the potatoes in, layer on the onions. And then the second half of the potatoes. Once you've got all the slices in, it's time to pour over your delicious cheese sauce. I was quite good this time, I got most of it in the dish. Cover the casserole dish with silver foil. This just stops the top from cooking too quickly. In the oven, 200 Celsius for about an hour and a quarter, and I took the silver foil off after 30 minutes. And it comes out looking something like this. Oh, look at that. Snip over a few chives and, well, it'd be rude not to, time for a taste test. Okay then guys, here we go. Lovely. Well, I can't fault that. Beautiful. Another sliced potato recipe. This time it's Dauphinoise potatoes. Nice and simple this one, and very few ingredients. I made this to serve too, so you can scale it up or down as you need. 3 Maris Piper type potatoes, a couple of cloves of garlic, 200ml each of double cream and full fat milk, and around 100 grams of a decent melting cheese like Gruyere or Provençale. I'll use a ready grated supermarket mix. Was it mozzarella and cheddar? I'll do. Okay then, first up, slice of potatoes. I'm using my mandolin slicer for this one. This is a good make, this one, I'll tell you. I'll put a link in the description below for you. A few test cuts to make sure they're the right thickness. About 3mm, that'll do. And get on with the bulk of them. Do watch your fingers, guys, and I do recommend you use the finger guard. I was very careful and I stopped at least 3/4 inch before the end. Crush your garlic. We're going to use this to infuse the milk and cream mix. I'm not actually going to cook with it, so we'll take it out later on. Get your milk and your cream into a pan and start warming it up. And then in with the crushed garlic. Crushed, smashed, whatever. In with the garlic. And as the milk and cream are warming through, in with the potatoes. Now I did this quite gingerly, if you look, one at a time sort of thing. The last time I made this I was in a bit of a rush, so I poured all the bits of potato in together. Not a good idea because a lot of the slices stuck together. There's a tip for you guys, take your time. Simmer the slices for about 4 or 5 minutes. And meanwhile just grease up your oven-proof dish ready. After they simmered for 4 or 5 minutes, transfer the slices into your oven-proof dish. I use a slide spoon for this because we're going to pour the liquid over later. Just arrange them nice and neatly. And then pour over the milk. And you can see in the bottom of the pan, my milk has caught just a little bit, as careful as I was. Sprinkle over the cheese and then it's off into the oven at 180 Celsius for 30 odd minutes until it's nice and brown. Okay, that's got about 10 minutes to go, so let's have a look inside. See how it's doing. Oh, look at that. Right, another 10 minutes. Wow. Right, that looks absolutely lovely. Ooh. Ooh, cook through. Ooh. Just that little hint of garlic. That's lovely. Creamy as you like as well. So similar to the au gratin, but so different. Don't know which one I prefer, really. Oh, there's a couple of good ones there, guys. I think this one's probably, the Dauphinoise is probably a little bit quicker to make, but only by about 15 minutes maybe. Oh yeah. That is proper handsome job. My Bombay potatoes, another one you can make as easy or as complicated as you like. Potatoes, tomatoes, tinned tomatoes will do, a chilli, onion, black mustard seeds, salt and pepper, lazy garlic, lazy ginger, and turmeric, cumin and coriander powder, or use a spice mix. First up, chop the baby potatoes in half in a pan and boil them for about 10 minutes so they're just tender, not too soft. Then drain them and set them to one side for later on. Put the tomatoes, the chilli, the ginger, the garlic into a food processor and blitz away merrily. Save a few tomatoes for later on for dressing. That'll do nicely, sir. Put that to one side as well, and finely slice your onion. You don't want too big a bits in this, but it doesn't matter if they're not equal sizes, no one's perfect. Heat a little oil in the pan and fry the onion. We want it to go just caramelising, just starting to turn brown. Not too brown and not too white. Something like that'll do just lovely. Then it's in with all the spices. Mustard seeds, pepper, coriander, turmeric and cumin, and give it all a good stirring just to stop the spices from burning while you add the next one. And then let them cook down for about 2 minutes, get all the flavours into the onions. Ooh. When they've cooked down a little bit, in with the tomato mix. You'll notice it's a little bit pale. If you want a redder mix, then go for tinned tomatoes, chopped tinned tomatoes. It doesn't matter really, the taste's exactly the same. Give it all a good stirring, get it all mixed in, get those flavours infused. This really is a quick dish, so already in with the potatoes and give them a good stirring. Get all those flavours over the potatoes because we're not far off serving them up. Yeah, try and keep them all in the pan, Steve, it does help. Chop your saved tomatoes in half and put them in the pan to warm them through, and we're almost there. Off the heat, time to serve up. Okay then, you know what's next? Got to be done, hasn't it? That's good. It's not too hot. You can make this as hot as you like, obviously. Put another chilli in or whatever. A bit more pepper. Ooh, very nice. Tell you what, guys, that is a double diggy thumbs up. I will be having that for my tea later on. Another simple one, potato cakes. Now I'm starting this one with boiled potatoes, not mash, and I'll show you why in a minute. So we got some boiled potatoes, milk, butter, oil for cooking in, plain flour, and some herbs of your choice. I'm using spring onion, chives and a bit of thyme. And you'll notice I've left the skins on these potatoes before I boiled them. I got a comment in the last video, the last potato video, from Nicola and Michael down there in New Zealand saying, if you leave the skins on, you can put them through the potato ricer without peeling them. And look at that, just like a garlic press really. So there you are, live and learn. I've had a potato ricer for 15 or 20 years and I've never put spuds through with their skins on. So thanks again, Nicola and Michael. Add a splash of milk and the butter to your mashed potato. And give it all a good mix in. I use around about 1/4 of the weight of flour to potatoes, so 50 grams in this case for the 200 grams of potatoes. Give it a good mixing in. When the flour's mixed in, add your herbs and salt and pepper, seasoning to taste. Maybe a few chilli flakes, be adventurous. Get the herbs mixed in and we're ready to start cooking. Flour your hands, generously flour your hands. Grab a golf ball sized piece of mashed potato and pat it flat, set it to one side. Now this is what happens if you don't flour your hands. You get your golf ball size, you squash it onto your hand, make a cake, and it sticks everywhere. So flour your hands, guys. Perfect. Heat a little oil in the frying pan, medium heat, and fry on both sides until they're as brown as you like them. I turn these over a couple of times to try and get them evenly brown. Yeah, that'll do. Okay then. Ooh. I shall be saving you two for a bit later on. Oh, okay, gonna be a bit warm, I think. Lovely, 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 lovely. And of course for this, you can season with salt and pepper. You can put onion in, you can put spring onions in, you can put chives in, you can put a few pepper flakes in. A little bit of cheese if you wanted to. These are lovely. Yep. Nice quick snack. And for Duchess potatoes, we need some mashed potato. There's about 1.5 potatoes worth there. A tablespoon of very soft butter. 1 egg yolk, that's a medium egg. About a teaspoon of fine salt. And some ground nutmeg and fine black pepper. You can use freshly ground pepper, but you'll have big lumps in it. So in with the soft butter. Here's me wishing I put it on a plate now. In with the egg yolk. And all the other little bits and pieces, the black pepper, the nutmeg and the salt. And give it all a very, very good mixing. Put that to one side and choose your weapon of choice for your piping bag. I used the large fluted nozzle for this. In hindsight, I could have done with a bigger nozzle. It was a little bit hard to squeeze out. Either that or I could have made the mash a bit more runny, I suppose. Load your bag up. Give it a test squeeze to make sure it's all right, and start piping. You want to pipe your shapes onto a piece of baking parchment, greaseproof paper type stuff on a baking tray. And another in hindsight moment here, my baking parchment's a silicone type one and it's far too slippery. The potato just wasn't sticking to it, so I had a bit of a job to get started, but we got there. I piped out a couple of vol-au-vent type cases, I suppose you want to call them, and loads of little kisses, Duchess kisses. Works of art, if I do say so myself. But don't worry, I'm not giving up my day job. And in the oven, 200 Celsius. No set time for these, just take them out when they've gone as brown as you'd like them. Well, there we are, guys, some nice little Duchess potatoes. vol au vent cases. You can fill these, well, hot or cold, let them cool down and fill them, or chuck a bit of minced beef and onion in there or something like that. I think it'd be rude not to try one of these, wouldn't it? So simple. Of course, with these, you can make them a little bit wider if you want, or change the piping nozzle. Where are we? Change the piping nozzle, maybe use a round one rather than a fluted one. Yeah, very good. Chuck a bit for them. I'll have another one. Oh. Here we go then with a fancy Greek mashed potato, and this one is called Tapenade Skordalia. So we need some mashed potato, loads of olive oil, splash of red wine vinegar, some salt, some lazy garlic and some black olive tapenade. While the mash is still as hot as possible, add the garlic and salt. You can crush the garlic and salt in a pestle and mortar, make a paste and add that if you want. Mix the garlic and salt in and add the first bit of the olive oil. I did mine in 3 lots. Give this a good mix in and then add the second lot. And give it a good mix in. And add the third lot. And guess what? Give it a good mix in. I added about 100 ml altogether. In with a splash of red wine vinegar. Mix it in. And last but not least, the black olive tapenade. About a teaspoon I used. And stir it through, mix it in. And that's basically it, guys. Tip it into your serving dish, cover with foil, keep it warm until you're ready to use it. Or dare I say, warm it up in a microwave later on. Okay then, Tapenade Skordalia. Ooh. Oh, that is good. Oh, those olives. And just the right amount of salt as well. I thought it might be too salty, but it's definitely not. Oh, nice and oily as well. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. That's another diggy thumbs up. I can't believe these dishes. And here we go with my gnocchi. I use a mix of 3:1 mashed potato to plain flour, and I used about 300 grams for this, so I need half a beaten egg and around a tablespoon of softened butter. Add around half of the flour to your mash and the butter and the egg yolk, and if you're using salt you can add this now as well. Give it all a good mix in, and when the flour is not looking like flour or not looking white anymore, you can tip it out onto your well floured work surface. Bring the dough together and we'll start kneading. No longer than 2 or 3 minutes really. You'll notice that the flour on the work surface is getting incorporated, and once it's gone, add a bit more from your reserve. You want to keep kneading until the dough is not sticky any longer and it's nice and silky smooth on the outside. Don't take too long, like I say, 2 or 3 minutes. Roll the dough out into a log, or 2 in my case. Roll it out about 2.5 centimetres, 1 inch diameter. And then cut them into inch pieces. Get a pan of water on the boil, salted if you prefer. Roll up your gnocchi chunks a little bit. and then I like to roll them out with the back of a fork. Gets a nice pretty pattern. I'm no black belt at this, but they look alright to me. When the water's boiling, plop your gnocchi in. Do be careful, guys. And it only takes 2 or 3 minutes. As soon as they start floating, take them out. They cook really, really quickly. I didn't want to eat these raw, so I knocked up a quick buttery sauce. Melt some butter, in with some chopped parsley, chopped shallot, little bit of crushed garlic, and some chives. Stir it all around and then pop your gnocchi in. Then toss them all around, get them coated, serve up. Oh, better taste them, I suppose, since I made them. Really rich buttery sauce. That is good. That's good gnocchi. Good gnocchi. I'm liking them. Of course, you can make any sauce you want. And they're set just right as well, look. Wow. That's a double thumbs up from Diggy, that one. Okay then, dead simple croquette potatoes. It's more about the technique than the ingredients. Mashed potato, plain flour, breadcrumbs and an egg. Okay, get your pan of oil warming up ready, and you need 3 plates or 3 dishes for this. 1 for the flour, 1 for the breadcrumbs, I'm using panko, and 1 for the beaten egg. And I put a little bit of milk with the beaten egg just to make it go a bit further. I didn't think 1 egg was going to cut it. Right then, grab yourself a handful of mashed potato and form it into a dumpy sausage or a little log. Squeeze in the ends, keep them square. Good technique that, Steve. We're going for the classic breading routine for this one. So it's in the flour coats the mashed potato, then into the egg sticks to the flour, and then into the breadcrumbs. I'm using panko. Panko's like breadcrumbs, a little bit coarser, and they're already a little bit crunchy. Cover the egg with the panko and set aside. And repeat. Drop a few breadcrumbs into the hot oil. If they start fizzing away, it's time to put the croquettes in. Do be careful. I prefer to put them in by hand rather than load them on a basket. They only take 4 minutes to cook. Take them out, drain them onto some kitchen tissue, and here we go. Croquette potatoes, here we go. Perfect. Lovely. Corned beef hash pie with a mashed potato top. Can of corned beef, some pre-cooked vegetables and some mashed potato. Well, that confused me. I've had cans of corned beef before now where the key's been missing, but I've never had one where there's nowhere to put the key to open it. The tag's missing off the can, and I did check afterwards in the rubbish bin. And after all that, chop your corned beef into small chunks. I fancied a bit of black pepper and mustard powder in my mashed potato topping. Grab your pie dish and fill it up. I put a few vegetables in first, then the corned beef, more vegetables, corned beef, layer it up a little bit. I want the mashed potato to go a little bit crispy in the oven, so I'm using my piping bag again with the fluted nozzle. You could just as easily layer the mashed potato on and tease it around with a fork to get some little peaks on it. I need to practice my piping skills. That'll do. Okay, in the oven now, 200 Celsius, 30 to 40 minutes, until the top is nice and crispy. Oh boy. Wow. Well, I can't wait any longer, guys. Yeah. Oh, lovely. Lovely jobby dubby. So the vegetables, I've got spring onion, swede carrot, peas and celery. And you can put whatever you want in, really. In fact, you could make it a whole vegetarian pie and just use a mix of vegetables. I might do that actually, I've got a few spuds left over. Oh, that's good. Guess what I've got for tea tonight, guys? Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I love these potato recipes. Got to decide what vegetable to do next. Anyone got any ideas? I've got loads of onions. That's an idea now. Onion bhaji, onion tart, onion rings, caramelised onions. Oh, here we go, here we go. Alright, catch you soon, guys. Hope you've enjoyed all this.